Good afternoon, guys. How are we all doing?
Hi, Prosi. How are
All
you?
right. Hi. I'm all right. I'm going to be Percy. I'm called Percy Wanyana, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. And we are going to talk about a few things about the lockdown and the remote working. I would like to know how this has affected you as a person. How do you understand what remote? Do you understand remote? Or I'm even speaking Chinese. So we'll start with Bill, then with Peter, then Matthew will come in later. So we'll start with Bill. Bill, you're going to help us explain what is remote work. Yeah. So you can go ahead
All
and
right.
introduce yourself, then explain to us what remote work is. Then we'll go ahead from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Prosi. Yeah. So I am Bill Kabanga, and I'm a software engineer, and I currently work with Hello, I'm Elliot, a company based in New York. It's an e-commerce platform as a full-time software engineer. I also work with Blossom VC, a data sourcing company, which is based in San Francisco. And that is my day-to-day work as a software engineer, and it's basically a remote engagement. Yeah, so first and foremost, I want to thank Craftmind for giving me a platform to talk about remote working, because we have always said the future of work is remote, but now because of the COVID situation, it's now a reality. We now have to switch automatically to remote working. So basically, remote working is you work with people from your home, but your company can be based in any other place. You could be based in Kampala, and your company is based in Mbarara. It could be based in Gulu. It could be based in Nairobi. But what matters is you being able to deliver your work. So that is what I can describe remote working to be like. Yeah. So, Prosi, I don't know if I
Okay,
answered
thank
all your
you.
questions.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Now, first and foremost, me, when people say they are not working, I really don't understand because, like, I think me, I have worked more than I've been working in this period. Yeah. So I know a lot of you have experienced the same. If you are a developer, like, I have a pile of work all the time. I need to do this, I need to do that. And at the end of the day, like, since I don't have extreme movement, I get bored, and you find sometimes I'm producing little because, like, there is a lot of chaos, right? So I don't know if uh, being at home has affected you. So I'll start with Peter. Peter, has being at home affected your work remotely?
Yes, hello, Prosi. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I have to say, remote working has affected me, but not like in the way that, say, working really. What it has affected me with is more like that the people that we used to work for right now. Or by the way, my name is Peter Bampere. I run a digital marketing company it's called Optibrev Digital. And to my point, working remotely has not really affected me in terms of not being productive. It has rather affected me in terms of not having the customers to work on, because the other people have actually stopped working. I don't know if you get it. Like the customers
Yes,
themselves have
yes.
stopped. Yeah, the customers themselves have insisted that they want to stop, even though for me,
Yeah, yeah.
we can actually still go on working. So as for them, they've halted work. They've caused that even as they've caused us to halt most of the work as well. So that is the effect there. But otherwise, we're still doing things. I think as we used to, we are still doing delivering work. We're still building websites. We're still updating pages. So really, the lockdown per se hasn't stopped us from doing things. And then also the other thing we have gotten, I've gotten to rethink strategies. I've gotten
Yes.
to actually like even develop projects inside of this lockdown. I've actually gotten to do and build on new ideas for the company in the period that the customers have pulled out. I'm getting to actually now start rethinking strategy and maybe like improving our products and services.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. So, Matthew, this goes to you. How has you working from home affected your remote work? Because remote, actually, you don't really need to be anywhere specific. Yeah, as long as you have internet, you're okay, right? So, how has you working from home and now literally everyone is at home doing nothing? So you're working, you want to be serious, then these kids are making noise, the neighbors' kids are moving around, someone is using your internet, making it run off, and yet you have to upload work. How have you handled that?
Well, for starters, surprisingly, remote work actually has, yeah, it has affected me a lot, so much. And really, I wouldn't say negatively because it hasn't affected me at all negatively. More, if I may dare say that it has actually improved me. It has made me way better than I was. It helped me actually find myself, my own work, because I ended up finding more time. I ended up finding more peace. I was so surprised that there's more noise the other side than actually this side because I kind of live in a very quiet place, so I'm not really affected by noise a lot. Of course, it's a little bit hard because you don't really talk to people a lot and don't really get to see your workmates, and it becomes quite a bore. But I learned how to adapt, and I'm feeling good about it. I also saw that entirely that communication is not proximity. Basically, you don't have someone doesn't have to be close to you for you to communicate. So there are always other channels of communication. And about it, the concept of work, remote work has actually shown me aspects of order. It has actually taught me order, and it has actually disciplined me in a very, very strange way. Because as you said, you find yourself with so much work to do, and you have little time, and of course, you can't manage to do all that work in very little time. And the only thing that you have is either the order or the discipline that ends up guiding you. And when it starts to develop as weeks go by, and it has actually taught me how to prepare for disaster because I won't lie, there are cases whereby I have lost internet. I have there's been no electricity. That never happens when you're on the other side. It happens a lot when you're at home. And I've learned actually how to prepare for disaster. So
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Matthew. So now, I know like we actually, some of us don't only do things that are remote. Like me personally, I teach at the Innovation Village. We handle different things. Yeah. So we've been having classes of digital marketing, we've been having coding classes for the girls, and yeah, then COVID happens when we are remaining with like 3 weeks to finish, and then everything blows off. Yeah. So I don't know. Have you tried to fix in whatever you are doing before that was not on the internet? Have you tried to fix it in and it fits in the work? Like, how has it like has have you tried to the things that were not needing the internet, have they all been on hold or you've transferred them to remote? Me, as per se, I had a coding class for the ladies, and we first went off for like 3 good weeks. Then later on, we decided to continue the classes, and it has been actually working out surprisingly. So I don't know if you guys have experienced the same, that you've got something that was totally not online to put it online. I don't know. So you guys can tell me your take about this.
All right, so I guess I'll go first on that. Yeah, so for me, I don't think remote working is limited or should be limited to only like coding or like every other field of work can be shifted actually online. It can be remote. So take an example of someone who is okay, you said you're a teacher, but then let's take an example of someone who is an accountant. Like for an accountant, you can easily work from home as well. Like all you need to do is communicate that with your managers, because now everyone knows we're in a tough situation, no one moves. So you just talk to your managers. You now decide to get on certain tools that you can utilize to do your work. So I know like accountants work with ledger books and all that stuff, but then I'm sure we have like several softwares that can actually be used to do that work. So the moment you know you have certain tools that can get you rolling, you just need to communicate it with your manager. So when you communicate with your manager, now like you've taken the first step. So what happens next is how do you manage your deliverables? So to manage your deliverables, you need to set expectations. You know, like I've been having tasks on a daily basis at office. So now it's time to be remote. So on what frequency do I release my work? Yeah, and actually, productivity when you're working from home is much higher than when you're working from office. I don't know, maybe this is something we shall talk about a bit later on, but yeah, so I don't think there should be a big hindrance to working from home, taking the work that has been physical to now being home. Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, Peter, can we hear your take on this?
Yeah, sure. To differ from my colleague Bill, I do actually think that
Yeah.
it really depends. It really depends on the person and maybe how they've trained themselves. If they've been doing this for a long time, like years, maybe like Bill, they are productive. They are more productive at home. But usually, for people like us, for me personally, I found that being at work and actually being at work is way more productive than when you're at home. I got to adopt working from home uh, by force by the pandemic. But about 3 years ago, when I was just starting my digital agency, I used to work from home, like from the start, from the very get-go, I used to work from home. And it was okay, I was productive. But when I got into an office, I was more productive. Uh, Working from home, to my experience, has been more like an eye open and trying to like now train myself on being able to work from home. I've even gotten some more hacks, like for example, if I wear office work, if I wake up in the morning and I wear office work, I found that I'm actually more office wear, sorry. I found that I'm more productive than when I just wear the usual clothes when I'm at home. So
Yeah.
I don't know. All I've ever known is the digital world where I place products online, where everything, for me, my life has always been online. So I can't really say for the guys who are not online or whose work is not offline. I can't really like uh, tell their experience or maybe how they should now start transitioning. Maybe, yeah, it's like Bill said, it's something that we can start talking about a little bit later. But as for me, working online, usually I think is the one where you're comfortable.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peter. Now, apparently working
Rosie.
from, yes. Someone said something?
Yes, I just wanted to add something on that. Yeah. So yeah, like I want to add something on what Peter said. So basically, like the purpose of such a show is we now want to start pointing people in that direction. You know, like we are available, people can reach out to us and we give them tips on how they can transition, because like that is the future of work, or that is where we are now. And I don't think the status quo is going to change. We are going to still be in that situation of we need to be able to work from home. So if you are unable to transition, you need to reach out to someone who has done so. And I think by doing something like this, such a show, that's where we're giving people an opportunity to be able to
Yeah,
get to know who they can reach
maybe
out
like
to.
yeah, like you were saying, like in the ledger kind of thing, accountants having ledgers and stuff. Maybe now is the time to start thinking how do they themselves go digital?
Okay. All right. So someone was saying of recent, someone was saying that, yeah, so now the employers have seen that people can actually work from home and be productive. Yeah. So someone was like, I think they'll go and be like, you know what, office space, to hell with you. So these creatures are going to work from home. I'm going to save on rent. I'm going to do what? So like they're like, if the numbers have increased, actually, the numbers of how much they've been doing at office and whatever they are doing at home, if they've been able to keep up the numbers or a little bit higher, someone was suggesting that some companies might consider actually downsizing the staff and not really employing those other humans they were employing. So I don't know, what's your say about that? Is it really fair for like the digital wise to skyrocket and take away every other thing that someone has known forever and ever, amen? Or is it like just like it should marry each other and you know and we move on and we embrace technology and we also embrace the other remote culture of 1900? What's your take about that, Matthew?
I do have a question about that. For
Wow,
starters,
okay.
like what jobs are going to be taken away? Just out of curiosity, what jobs are going
No,
to be?
actually now Bill
Drivers.
has actually given an example of accountants, has given an example of accountants. Looking at an accountant, if someone can access a system from home, yeah, and they've been there busy for a long time,
So I'm not the only one who has lost Pussy, right?
it's feeding the zoo. Oh boy. Sorry, I jumped off. I don't know why
Half
this
a
was
Matthew, I
happening
think you
today.
can.
So you guys are so just Matthew, you can go ahead and tell us about that. About what
well,
I've been saying. I think I've answered your question. Bill has said accountants can use ledgers and this and that and that. And then technically they can work from home. So instead of me as an employer hiring 15 accountants, I can hire 8 and they work.
From home.
So what's your take about that? Is it fair?
yes and no. In two ways, probably. For starters, well, I don't see how, in the north side of it, I don't see how anyone would be, fired unless they were negligent or unless they were really, you know, negligent or they didn't fulfill their job description, say, per se. And then, yes, in a way that, you see, all I know is that with every situation, there comes a chance for being adaptive, to change, to improve on oneself. And of course, there will be no excuse. Okay, like, I don't know if I'm being mean to say this, but I'm going to just put it bluntly and a little bit frankly that it will be quite really unfair if you go back to work and there's nothing that you've improved upon yourself because your bosses or your people who hired you are going to look at you and be like, you didn't improve on yourself, you didn't discover the world bringing value. So that would probably be fair to kind of fire you per se. But yeah, to put it that way, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
I think Mike can take the next, because
I think it's like a commercial break, maybe. So this is where the advertisements start coming
I
about.
don't know if we lost Percy there.
She's coming. She's coming.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, as we get Percy back, so she talked about people losing jobs, but then
Yes.
like yeah, it's always inevitable that when there is an advancement in technology, people will lose jobs. But then I think what matters is us as people, we need to like always reinvent ourselves, like in the fields of
True.
work we do. Like as technology comes in, it introduces new opportunities. So we need to leverage those opportunities. It's not when technology comes up, you're going to lose your job. So you just sit back and relax and like, okay, I'm going to lose my job. Let me give up. Yeah. And also another thing is I don't want us to limit this thing of remote working to only being employed. We can also talk about employers. Like for your person who has a business, you need to think about how remote working can benefit you as a business person.
But then the question
Like
is it
it
really fair?
brings huge opportunities. You can employ people from various areas. You're not limited to a certain geographical location. Yeah.
But then the
And
question
actually
is
the issue,
oh, sorry for interrupting, but the question is, okay, would it be really fair for these people to be fired? Like, what's your take on it? Would it really be fair for them to be
Matthew, I
fired
didn't
from,
get that.
like, since many people are going to be fired after this, most probably. So is it going to be really fair for them to be fired?
Of course, it's never it's never fair for it's never fair for people to lose jobs. It's never fair for people to lose jobs, but I know like that's a fact of life. Like at some point you always lose a job, but how do you come back?
True, true.
Like so that's where I talk about the upskilling. You need to upskill in something else. Like Peter is dealing in digital marketing, so we know like, digital marketing is now a hot thing. So how are you willing to take that up? You know,
Yeah, and
such
to
things.
echo
Yeah.
on that,
So
to
we
echo
need
on
to
that,
keep reinventing ourselves. The jobs that were there in the 1880s, in the 90s, they are not the same jobs.
okay, I think Bill is going to.
Well, we can keep it. Okay, we can keep the discussion going. So, may I have a
Okay, so
question?
to kind of like echo back on what Bill was saying.
Mm.
There are these guys called the Luddites. You know those guys. There are
No,
those
I don't
guys.
know.
I think they were in the 1800s or something, where
Mm.
the first industrial revolution came in, and
Mm.
people started using the steam engine. So
Yes.
the Luddites were these people who are opposing. They thought they had a good cause because machines were taking away jobs. These guys used to work in to work in cotton stuff. They were sewing. They had jobs, and then when the machines came, they could do what like 10 men could do
Mm.
in a single minute, or what would take them like hours. Yeah,
Mm.
but like later on, of course, they even like did riots and stuff. They indeed thought they had a good cause of not allowing machines to come in. But of
Mm.
course, with the machines coming and man advancing into technology, opportunities are always there. So I strongly, me personally, I don't think it is not fair. I think it is fair. It's just that the people themselves have to adapt to the new normal kind of thing.
Okay. So I also have a question. Actually, when Bill asks, said something about upskilling. You see, there's a situation whereby people want to upskill, but they do not know what to upskill in. And I don't know if you've actually seen it. People would want to upskill, but they're like, I don't know what to upskill in. Do I go for coding? Do I go for digital marketing? Do I go for this? So now the question is, how do we help them now decide? Because I've seen so many
All
people
right.
ask me that
So
question.
Me, I
Yeah,
think
so
it
the
depends on
first
what
thing
they're
is,
doing and then adopting to what they're already doing, and then just finding ways to maybe make it go digital, or maybe finding something that is already hot that they think they can advance themselves into, or
Okay.
anyway find ways to produce value, find ways to solve like a problem. As long as they can solve a problem in the modern economy, I think that is where they should upskill, where someone should be looking to upskill.
Okay. Bill, what's your take?
yeah, so maybe to add on that, yeah. So I think yeah, so for me, what I think is, as people, we need to realize what we are good at. Like, one thing I've really realized is, if you have a talent, first and foremost, if you have a talent, pursue your talent and turn it into a career. Because we've seen very many talented people that are making a lot of money out of their talent. The
Very
biggest
true.
mistake maybe people make, like, you find you have someone who is talented in, let's say, singing, but you don't want them to sing, you want them to become a doctor. So at the end of the day, they are not motivated in what they are doing. So for me, I think it all comes back to what someone thinks they are good at. If someone has a talent in doing something, just support them, let them focus on that and try to enrich their potential. Because if in this world, if you're good at what you do, trust me, you'll have value in the world.
Okay.
By
Also,
the way, guys, you can always ask questions in the comment section. If you're from YouTube, you can ask questions. If they are to me, I think I can even answer them directly there after this live session. But in the meantime, you can ask them. I think Prosi will be reading them for us.
okay. I also have one more question though. You talked about? You see, when you talked about upskilling, it was really interesting. You talked about that people should look into the lines of what is now hot and what is now trending. But then, assuming like people do not know what the hottest topic is right now, what is trending right now, which is actually real because even me myself, I may not even know what is trending right now. All I know is so. What do you think entirely? Like, if someone was say the top five. So, what do you think?
Okay, me. Okay, let me take this. Personally, I think digital products. If you have an idea for a digital product, I'm
I can
talking.
contribute to that. Mic check.
Process back.
Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Percy, we can hear you. Percy,
Okay, I guess she's.
Yeah.
I don't know why network
All
is
right.
never
So,
good.
someone was talking about upskilling. How do you know what you want
I think Peter, you can proceed.
to
Yeah,
upskill?
yeah. Okay, so I think if
Yeah.
right now the hot things, if according to my judgment, what I see is hot right now. These are digital products, and then
Yeah.
Digital
I
products.
in
I think
digital
it's okay.
products,
Maybe.
you know,
Network is never good on a Saturday.
Yeah, we can hear you.
okay, so digital products, think about apps and apps, both mobile
Uh,
apps and then web applications as well. And then think about things like ways to sell things online, like e-commerce kind of thing. Now, arguably, even digital products are e-commerce kind of thing. It's just that it's not like live products. So, for example, if you buy a subscription from Netflix, it's not e-commerce. It's not categorized as e-commerce, but actually it is e-com, because e-com kind of stands for electric commerce. As long as you're able to buy things, as long as you're able to make people buy things digitally without actually maybe going to them. And this can be even lawyers themselves. Now you don't have to go to you don't have to go to a lawyer physically for the lawyer maybe to do things for you. Maybe a lawyer can have like a subscription based platform where he can do e-commerce by him maybe advising online. Maybe you can book a slot or something like that. Now that is still a digital product. So I think for me, anything that revolves around the idea of a digital product, and you're doing e-com kind of thing, e-commerce kind of approach, that is what is new. That is what is hot now. You look at even guys like Uber, even guys like Self-Border. For me, these are digital products, and they fall into the category of e-commerce.
There's that proverb that there is no profession that has survived the test of time like lawyers. All right.
Oh yeah.
So, Bill, what's your take on this?
I didn't get that. I missed that.
We're talking about the hottest topics, the hottest things trending in this period of COVID.
Actually,
Like, what can someone engage in to achieve themselves?
Yeah. If someone
yeah,
wanted
so
to do something
yeah.
new to develop for the next world to come.
No, so you actually Peter mentioned most of the things, but like we also need to think about like amplifying the industries we already have now in a digital direction. So let's talk about like agriculture. I have been to a couple of tech events and people have brilliant ideas about agriculture. Like they are bringing up like applications to connect the customer and the farmers. Yeah. But then like I've seen a thing where uptown youth don't want to engage in agriculture because maybe they despise it or something like that. But I actually know people who are now going into agriculture and they are doing well. And I think this is something that people can also look at. Yeah, we don't have to always sit in the towns and like enjoy the town life, but we can also do wonders if we engage in other activities that can be income generating without necessarily being employed by someone in an office. Yeah. Then also another thing is we also need to think about how do we become self-employed? How do we take ideas? Like how do you bring out ideas out of our heads? So to be able to bring out ideas out of your heads, you also need to read and be informed about the economy, and not just the economy here in Uganda, but also the global economy. You need to know, if I deal in this, is it actually going to make me money? So I actually want us to discuss more of making people self-employed than having them seeking for employment all the time, because this it turns us into dependence. We're always depending on someone to give us money. But then if you do not own your own thing, that's when we're talking about the people people losing their jobs. Like if you're doing your own thing, you're motivated to do your own business. Like you're your own boss. You can decide when to sack yourself or not. So I think it's better to point us in that direction.
Well, that's actually very, very true. And I actually agree with you on that part.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Bill. I agree. I agree. One of me, I have had my friends who have been disconnected from their jobs.
Actually, I've been thinking about your point, Bill. It has really actually hit the spot.
Okay.
Yeah, it has really hit the spot. And there's just one thing that I don't seem to quite get. You see, at some point, yes, you know how people normally cases is a proverb that my grandfather likes to tell me, and he usually does this when he's telling when I've done a mistake. Every time I do a mistake, but I knew what to do, he always says this. He says it in Lutoro. He'll be like, "Boy, I know that you knew this, you knew how to do it, but you decided not to do it." He always says something like that in that thing. So I'm guessing people know that they're supposed to do this, and but they don't do it, or I don't know if they don't know how to do it, or but they just don't do it. Is it that like for example, they know that they're supposed to be their own bosses, they know they're supposed to have a certain direction that they're going to, but they just don't do it? Is it lack of mentorship? Is it lack of commitment? I don't know. Like, what do you think about that, especially in this era? Oh,
Yes. So, okay, I think let me take that first.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like people don't want to do it, but we are in an era that has a lot of information. So you get information coming from this side, information coming from this side. So at the end of the day, you don't actually know what you want to do yourself. Yeah. Yeah. But then I think it all comes back, like you said, how do we now motivate our fellow youth or other people? Yeah. So it all comes down to like people being able to get knowledge from other people. Like you cannot know everything, but if you learn from another person, I think that
Yes.
can take you far. Yeah, and then also for people not wanting to do what they should be doing, like okay, we cannot blame people for not like wanting to develop themselves or something like that. But then all we do is we always try to spread the message that we need to do this, we need to do this. Yeah, and we hope that people will take on that message
Uh,
because like
Peter,
as a generation we need to leave a legacy. So all we shall do is keep engaging people around us and motivate the people around us and see how far that can take us.
right. And then Peter, I need to ask, how do we succeed with remote working? Because there's actually also another question that has been also asked. How do we actually succeed with remote working?
How do we succeed with remote working?
Yes.
It's the same way we succeed with the usual working. I don't think remote working is like that different from the usual working. The same kind of standards applies, ethics, integrity, like this, the very same things apply. The only reason why you buy from Jumia is that it is more convenient than you actually walking to a store in town. Yeah, or sometimes because they have the product that you haven't seen from anywhere else. Now this would apply also in the physical world, or without necessarily working remotely or anything digital involved. It's just that this time digital has made it like simpler. Now if I am working on a client's work remotely, I still have to take the same standards as if I was in the physical. I still have to deliver on time. I still have to deliver the best quality out there. I still have to like maybe over deliver to him so that he can feel like, wow, this is greater. I like the same things are the same things that apply. The customer is the same. Even like the infrastructure, most of it is really the same. Apart from now, maybe regulations will go lower. Though still, even when this digital thing goes on, I'm very sure at some point we'll also start seeing regulations in the digital economy as well. So I don't think it is a question I don't think it is any different from how you would succeed in the real world.
No, because why I ask it that way is this. You see, patterns have already changed entirely because in most cases during the time, the way we used to give work, the way we used to show that we have done work before COVID was different. you just hand in a report, or you just show up. All you have to do is just show up. You're at work. You've done work. As long as you've sat in your desk.
Okay.
Well, like, and I'm okay. Yes, I will admit I'm kind of a victim of the. Actually, I'm kind of a villain in this. You just go there, you sit at work, and just see, look at your computer, all serious. You've done work. So, so yeah. Now that's what I was asking. How do we actually now? Because
I
since the mode of showing
time.
work is different.
Yeah, I think with time, again, I think there is now another gap that can be filled, though I think there are already applications that are doing that, where you actually give work that is digital. For example, if you had people to give a website to do, how do you ensure they're actually building the website in the time that you've given to them? There are products today that can actually allow you to install to install some kind of tracking on people's machines, on your employees' machines, that can actually log those times. It can send you screenshots. It can send you live video of the screen that the employee is working at. Now, these products have not been massively like known, but I think it is something that would be of interest to that person who is not so sure whether the work is going to be productive or what. Now, then the other question now is is success in your question to the employer, or is it to the employee?
I understand. Right. Cool. All right. What do you think, Bill?
Right, Matthew.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
so I just want to add something small. Yeah, so succeeding when you are working remotely, you need to think about a few things, because remember, you are working, most of the
I
times
think
you're
I
working
agree
from
with you,
home.
Matthew. I disagree. And
Yeah, so Matthew, as we wind up, like, to succeed working remotely, you need to think about your internet, your electricity, like having power backup all the time you're working. Yeah, and also you need to communicate well with your bosses. You need to always like set expectations. If you're a boss, you need to set expectations with your employees to be sure that everything is in plan. And remember, you're not seeing these people on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, so that means you need to have that constant communication to give updates. Yeah, then I also noticed a question in the chat where someone asked, what are challenges associated with remote working today and after COVID? Yeah, so for me, I think the hugest problem is internet. So as you have all seen, like even on this show, like we have a problem with internet in, should I say, Uganda or Africa? Yeah, and that is something that needs to be addressed if remote working is going to be a success. Yeah,
I think that my
that is the
challenge that
major
I'm
challenge
facing,
that for me I see.
my challenge that I'm facing the most has been actually collaboration. Like, how do you actually collaborate with the others and be able to actually proceed? So the challenge for me has been collaboration.
can you guys hear me? Is there
First, I think we lost you.
There is a question I see from Ahad. What advice would you give to employers on how to get, on how best they can keep up with remote workers so they can hit their target without laying off workers. To Bill, I think. Bill.
All right. Thanks for that question, Ahad. I hope I'm pronouncing your name very in there. Yeah, thanks for that question, Ahad. I hope I'm pronouncing your name well. Yeah, so basically, I think what I've noticed is most companies have just rushed to lay off their employees. It's a panic situation. Even when the company still has money, they just want to like reduce. Maybe this was sitting on a time bomb where people are always planning to lay off people, and they are just taking advantage of the situation. Yeah, but basically, if you are a company that wants to succeed and you believe in your workers and what you are doing, basically your workers can still do the same work they have been doing, and you just need to restructure here and there. Like, you don't have to lay off people if people actually have been doing work for you and you're not out of business. It would be understandable when a company is out of business. Yeah, but if a company is still in business, I don't think there is a reason for one to lay off people. Yeah, because all you need to do is harness the remote working. But then on the other side of employers, we need to understand the issue where people don't know how they are going to transition to remote working. So what they do, they first want to reduce the sizes they have in their company. Then now they can understand the situation, see how they can now transition. So I think the best thing to do would not be to lay off people, but maybe give them unpaid leave. I think that's the best way to handle the situation. Like, don't lay them off, but give them an unpaid leave as you sort yourself out. Because like, if you rush to lay off people, that is, you're breaking the trust in your company. Like, no one will ever trust you as an employer. Yeah. I hope I've answered your question, Ahad.
I can I can contribute on that too. I can contribute on that too. Okay, so me, what I'm thinking is I think laying off workers is actually not a good idea. They can because what expecting these guys to go back and do, yeah. So when the work starts again, like COVID has ceased and everyone has gone to work, so they can see how best these guys can work. If they can choose to do remote and cut off, like give them not even unpaid leave, half pay, yeah. So giving them half pay, I think, would be my take on this.
Yeah, sure. That's
My
a good
check.
suggestion as well.
Bill,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
I think I should have added that as well. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, like that's a good point actually.
Ahad, I think his main question was about, I think, how do now employers,
Because right now
employees hit their target in the remote working process. Hello?
Yeah, we get you. Yes.
Hello, Bill.
we can hear you, Peter. You go ahead.
Okay, so like, how does an employer make sure, or like at least put in incentives or something for the employees to be able to hit their targets? Personally, I think it is this has hit, especially in Uganda here, or in Africa per se. This is new for us, for many of us at least. Now, I believe the solution to this would be incentives, yeah, like creating incentives and then like being able to work around a different kind of environment and different kind of deliveries. So in this case, we're looking at, for example, if we're looking at sales, people, these salesmen who makes sales to, for example, if someone was selling cars, and then this guy now doesn't have any way to go out in the field. Now, can they start, for example, doing this digitally by maybe trying Facebook marketing, or maybe increasing their connections on LinkedIn and trying to get to as many people as possible on LinkedIn that they think are prospective buyers, for example, yeah? And then now you change the measurement from how many sales have they maybe brought in per day to maybe now how many connections have they made on LinkedIn, how many have they introduced to this, and how many contacts have we collected. Now, this would be more like a lead generation of like trying to generate people to come in before they can actually buy, maybe after COVID has come in. This would ensure that by the time that the pandemic is done, they have more like customers to sell to, because they have more leads, they have more people, they have like way more prospects than they should have. So I think right now it is to change the modes of operation, somehow find creative ways of changing the modes of operation, and then as well as putting in some incentives for the employees. Maybe if you achieve this, you get this, or maybe per the unemployment, instead of laying off these workers, maybe now make it target based, that you won't get paid unless you bring in these sales, or maybe you won't get paid unless you solve this.
No, that's tricky.
Changing kind of like the structure through how things have been working.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but
But
that is a little bit mean.
no, it's
That is
not
a
mean,
little
it's
bit mean.
business.
Yeah, but the thing is, my tech is like, if you go back to the drawing board, like there was COVID. COVID, no one actually called the COVID to come, and we have those endless public holidays, right? So at the end of the day, like you have to go back to your business model and redraw and reshuffle and see how to benefit everyone. Like, we the employees have been working for you. Just imagine, we've been working for you. You've been delaying our
Okay,
salaries, and we've
proceed.
not been
Look
told
at
to.
look at this.
Yeah.
Look at
So
this.
the thing is, like,
My agency has, for example, my agency, by the time the lockdown was there, yeah,
yeah,
we had some clients, yeah. But I tell you this, our biggest client was from China, and in China the pandemic hit in December, yeah. So
sure,
immediately
sure.
from December, for us, we were starting to experience a decline, like a decline from ourselves, right? Now, from the business
Yeah,
perspective,
yeah.
I've already started losing income or money that I can actually pay you. The cash flow is really bad. So by the time the pandemic hits, the effects of the pandemic hit Uganda, I do not have money to actually spend or be spending like everywhere. That's why actually I did give many of my employees unpaid leave. I didn't, like Bill was advising here, I didn't really fire them, but many of them got unpaid leave. So as per se, I think it is business, and you have to think about the employer as well, not just the employee that you're breaking trust or whatever, but also think about the employer as well. Because if I give you money, maybe the business won't be able to stand for the next maybe 1 week or even two, or whatever.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. I think let's take a few more questions and close up this meeting. But the thing is, like, everyone, we are hit the same. So if you get us and just send us home, we are busy at home dying of hunger. Our kids are dying of hunger. Now they're going to open schools. We are not finished paying school fees. What do you want us to do? Yeah. So me, in my tech, I think like you should sit back and your employees and plan, like, because like, yeah, an eye for an eye. Our kids are dying of hunger. Our employees are dying of hunger. Because really, it
And
really doesn't really
yes,
seem
point, I
fair for
actually
you. You want
agree
to
with
stay
that
there. I've been
because this
working for you,
is
and
actually, in a way, I kind of see Peter's point because it's really hectic on the employers as well because they have to look at very many people, not just one employee, but you're looking like
They
other
also have to look
employees
at
that you hire.
sustainability.
And yeah, and sustainability. And it's really hard on them because right now, in a situation whereby the people who are actually giving you money have reduced, and it's really hard on you because entirely you kind of see like your business is going down, and it's really hectic. So yeah, I actually see your point. I actually see your point very well. Not saying that
yeah.
yes,
Someone
it's
here
okay.
is
I
asking
do
a
feel the
question.
employee's pain, but yeah.
Mm,
Someone is asking a question.
okay. Thank you so much, guys. Someone, the professor is actually agreeing with working from home. Professor is agreeing with working from home. Is like it cuts on the cost, it cuts off the what, and at the end of the day, if you're the owner of the business, now looking back at the owner of the business, I would also choose to put some people to work remotely if my work can actually take it. Yeah, but some people are asking, what about the costs? Like the transports the transport costs and the goods that are coming in and all that. I don't know how that is related to the remote work, but I don't know what you can say
Delivery
about
fees,
that. But me,
e-commerce.
one thing I have to say that the thank you guys for this discussion, and I think like we can look closely and we see how good we can help other people to know how to work remotely. Me, I know I've done my part. I've taught some people Zoom. I don't know about you guys. Like, how have you been able to, yeah, to help your people, the people in your community in this lockdown? Yeah. I don't know how the level of sharing knowledge has been. I don't know how you guys have been doing it. Oh, we are just here making noise and we've not helped others. I really, really, really don't know. But the thing is, like, I think we have to work together to see the good results that will come after lockdown. After lockdown, then what? Yeah. So I think we have to come up with the ways, and the employers have to embrace technology in one way or another because it's really inevitable. That's my take about this. They have to embrace the technology and they learn how to actually work this thing through. Peter, what are your remarks, the ending remarks? How are you closing this?
I think digital is inevitable. It doesn't matter what you do. This pandemic only just came to to show us that it is actually inevitable. It was just it's just, let me say, maybe an eye opener for us. So I really think the pandemic was also in a way sort of an advantage. Someone was saying that there are guys who actually thought that the pandemic has created Zoom, that out of the pandemic we've also had Zoom. Zoom has been here for years, but no one has been recognizing it, you see. We are starting to get calls from people who are searching on digital marketing now. Yeah, these people have been hard to convince to come for digital marketing, but now they are beginning to actually understand. They are being pushed to actually embrace the digital ways. So for me, working remotely, digital products and stuff, this is the future, and the pandemic has been here just to open our eyes to it.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter. Bill, what is your take? What is your final remarks about this? About what we've been talking about, the remote work and lockdown, and then after lockdown, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, okay. Yes, so for me, I think we now need to embrace the new world order. We need to start transitioning to working from home, those who have not yet started, or those who don't know how to start, like start doing research about remote working and look at the tools. I have seen a question where someone is asking about the tools. So even now knows about Zoom. So like Zoom, you use it for video conferencing. You can also use Google Hangouts and there are other tools as well. Yeah, like for communicating with your team, there is a tool called Slack. Yeah, it's because of time I cannot demo all those things right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then when you do research about remote working, trust me, you'll be able to find out those tools that we use, and you can always reach out to us through CraftMind. They'll point you to us, and we shall direct you on what you can do. Yeah. And also, since we are almost ending, I want to thank everyone who has tuned in to watch us today. I know we are still in the having the African issues of internet and what, but I think we've tried our best. And I want to thank CraftMind for giving me a platform to be able to share a little that I know about remote working.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Matthew, how, in 1 minute, how are you wrapping up all this?
The way I see it entirely, and the way I can say it, you see, there was already a crisis like this a long time ago. Really didn't hit the world much. It was this, I think it was a Spanish flu, and people end up going onto lockdown. Basically, what I'm saying this is because this is something that is going to pass, and then another thing will come up, and then it will pass, and then another thing will come up. But in that time when all these things are happening, we do need to find a way of creating ourselves within those situations and entirely finding ourselves because there's so many other crises that will come and there's so many other crises that will do. And I'm very sure that another one shall beat is on the hill ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
And I think this brings us, yeah, this brings us to the end of of our remote work discussion. And I thank CraftMind and all the other members for helping us answer a little bit questions, a few questions about this. And I think everyone was excited for this call, and we are glad to be part of CraftMind and the work it does. Thank you so much for putting up with us, whoever was viewing, for putting up with us and our ugly network. And I think everyone was excited for this call.